بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Boys and girls, mums and dads, uncles and aunties, grandparents, grandmas, grandfathers, cousins, brothers, sisters, bees and flies, ants and insects, birds and ducks. We've got ducks as well. Everyone, Alhamdulillah, welcome to the stories of the prophets. I hope you're enjoying your time, most likely at home, where a lot of people are spending more and more time during these days as we enter into Ramadan because of the restrictions all over the world. But Alhamdulillah, it's a good time for us to spend more time with our family and also to learn more about not only life but also about our deen, and that is the beautiful deen of Islam. So today, inshallah, we will introduce this new series that we're going to do every Thursday. What do you say? If you are happy for us to continue every Thursday, inshallah, on the stories of the prophets. So I want you to put something in the chat if you've got access to it on your device, just to indicate that you're really, really interested in the stories of the prophets, for us to continue on a weekly basis, because in the stories of the prophets is a lesson for every single Muslim, every single human being. Because the prophets and messengers are the examples and role models that Allah has sent to all of humanity, all of society. Now, you'll find that there are people that will look up to role models, examples, teachers, coaches, in different parts of our lives, whether it be sports or whether it be entertainment or recreation or education, whatever it might be. We've all got role models, we've all got examples. Um, but our role models as human beings are the best human beings ever that have walked on this earth. And they are, as we know in Arabic, called the Anbiya and the Mursaleen. Now, before I continue, just so we can maximize everyone that's tuning into us today, if I could ask you, if you're able to, just share the link to this stream, inshallah, for family and friends. So before we kick into the session today, that they can also benefit from the lives of the prophets and the messengers. So if you've got a chance, if you can do that, as long as it's not going to distract you, just quickly share the link to this stream. My YouTube channel's there. Inshallah, we'll be streaming every week for everyone, young and old, boy and girl, mum and dad, and even the stars and the mountains, and maybe the birds and the bees and the ants and the insects. Inshallah, will allow them to also tune in. So away you go. I want you to share it. Inshallah, we want to try and get up to maybe, if we can get 100 people tuning in. There were well over 100 registrations for today. And for those that wanted to tune into the stories of the prophets. But I'd like to also hear from you whilst you're sharing this with your contacts, inshallah, and then they can also register so they can get updates and any changes that we may have at coolcollege.com/events. They just choose the Thursday Stories of the Prophets live stream. But I wanted to ask you all a question. I know you can't put your hands up, but at least maybe if you can just type in the chat, just so I know who I'm actually speaking to, because it's always nice to know your audience. If you are between kindergarten and year two, so if you're kindergarten, year one, and year two, I just want you to put K to 2 there in the chat. And if you're tuning in, if you're watching, and you're from years 3 to 6, third grade to sixth grade, that's in primary school, I just want you to write 3 to 6, grade 3 to 6. And if you're in high school, just jump up and say you're in high school. And if you're in university or college, say you're in university or college. If you're working, say you're working. If you're mum or dad, say you're mum and dad, just so we know who's actually watching, and inshallah we can connect in that way. So already getting a few people, mashallah. We got 3 to 6, K to 2, 3 to 6, K to 2, mums too, inshallah. Any dads yet? Not sure if you've got dads, but this is it. We want to make this as interactive as possible, as easy for you to access and to connect, because I tell you what, oh, Ahlan Hamza, well done, mashallah, good to see you. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and all the other boys and girls that I do. Oh, and I see Ibrahim there, mashallah. Well done and good to see you. It's been a while. But first of all, before we get into the lives of the prophets, and Zainab, I've got Zainab as well here. So Zainab, you can see here, so I can actually see you just over there. First of all, I want to say the dua that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would say before Ramadan. He would start this dua 2 months before Ramadan. I want you to guess which month he would actually start saying this dua. Quickly, let's see if you can get it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would start saying this dua 2 months before Ramadan starts. What is the month that he would start this dua? What dua? I'm going to tell you it in a minute, or at least a modified form of it. But I want you to go, all right, what do you say, Zainab? Oh, you say, yeah, you whispered it. We'll see if anyone else can get it on the chat, inshallah. Yes, it's Rajab. Well done. It is Rajab. Prophet ﷺ used to begin this dua in the month of Rajab, which is the 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can I count my fingers? 5, 6. What's after 6? 7, exactly, 7. So the 7th month of Rajab, Prophet ﷺ would start this dua. And his dua, when he was starting Rajab, he would say, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa, and what? Oh, Allah bless us with the month of Rajab wa, and tell me which ones next. Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa, big loud voice. What is it? It's the month we're in right now. Come on, I can't hear it loud enough. The month we're in now. So he started off with Rajab, it's already passed. We're already nearly halfway in the next month. So he says, all together, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban. That's it. Good. Well done. We've got a couple that have got Sha'ban. Excellent. Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban. And then he would say, wa ballighna, and allow us to arrive at, which one? Would you get it, Zainab? Yep. Who else? And allow us to arrive at wa ballighna. I can't hear loud enough. Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. That's it. It is Ramadan, which is about 3 weeks away. Zainab, if you can just come this way, just so we don't knock over the equipment. Otherwise, the live stream will collapse because you've knocked over the beautiful technology that Allah has made so accessible and easy for us. Champion. So, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. That's what he would say, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So right now we are in Sha'ban. And I'll tell you a little story. I know I haven't started the stories of the prophets yet, but we're just giving a bit of introduction just until everyone comes in. There was a young man, student, that was studying in Dar al-Mustafa in the city of Tarim, where I studied there for many years. And his name was Shaban. He's actually from Australia. And some of you that have gone to a local Islamic school in Sydney, you might have come across him, Ustad Shaban. But I used to love seeing him, because whenever I'd see him, I'd say, Allahumma barik lana fi Sha'ban. I'd say, oh, Allah bless us with Sha'ban. Sha'ban, the month, yes, but also this young man who was very, very good, mashallah, Hafiz of Quran, lovely man, mashallah. So I say, Allahumma barik lana fi Sha'ban. May Allah bless us with Sha'ban. Whenever I would see him, I say, وَبَلِّغْنَا Ramadan, allow us to come to Ramadan as well. So if you know him, alhamdulillah. Again, big salams to everyone, inshallah, that is there and talking on the chat. It's good to see. I want to see your comments there. Mashallah, 6 people watching in the Khan family. Allahu Akbar, from 7 to 14 years old. That doesn't include mum and dad, plus mum and dad, mashallah. So I want this to be as much of a family affair as you can. If you want, if it's going to encourage you, make a pizza, make cake, and popcorn, and share the popcorn and share the pizza, and have it all together as a family whilst you're watching. If you're not watching on the big screen, I have put in the emails and the messages that you can. That's why we do have other TVs. You know what they called? They were called dumb TVs because they weren't smart. But given that we've got smart TVs, you can just Aircast, AirPlay, Chromecast, Beam, whatever you do to connect your device to the big screen if you've got a big screen at home. That way you're not sitting there looking at a little phone or iPad. It becomes a bit hard, doesn't it, to concentrate, and it hurts your eyes. Like I know my eyes start to hurt if you're looking at a screen for so long. But you're stuck with me for the next few minutes looking at the screen, because that's how we're going to run the class. because we can't get together in person because we've got restrictions. So we're going to get together through technology, which we're still getting together, inshallah. Our qulub and our souls are together. And that's the main thing. It doesn't matter where we are in the world. I also like to hear, you've all said, mashallah, what classes you're in and sort of your age group. So at least we know that. Now I'd like to know what city you're in. If you're in Sydney, tell me you're in Sydney. If you're in Melbourne, tell me you're in Melbourne. If you're in Antarctica, I don't know if we've got anyone in Antarctica, Zainab. If you're in Antarctica, tell me you're in Antarctica. If you're in London, we had a few from England. Let us know you're in London. Wherever city you are in the world, just let us know. And inshallah, at least that way we can have our hearts come together and give salam from each other to one another, even though we're all over the world. And that's the beauty of this sort of thing. Alhamdulillah, we can all come together. We've got, mashallah, so quite a few in Sydney. We've got in Auckland and New Zealand. And where else do we have, mashallah? May Allah bring all of our hearts together. Antarctica, mashallah. I didn't know there was someone in Antarctica. I think you're pulling my leg there. I don't know if they got internet in Antarctica. But anyway, maybe we can see the real place that you are in. Okay, so today we're going to kick off the soccer ball. I mean, no, sorry. Wrong lesson. That was for my soccer coaching lesson with my little Zainab there. Sorry, that's in an hour's time. We're going to kick off the soccer ball. Today we're going today we're going to kick off our soccer, not our soccer, but today we're going to kick off the stories of the prophets, the Anbiya and the Rasul. And I want you all to let me know who's the first of them all. The first prophet that Allah sent to planet Earth, not planet Mars, planet Earth, because all we know of prophets that have been sent is to planet Earth. We don't have anything of information about prophets being sent to Neptune or to Pluto or to Mars or to Venus or to Saturn or any of the other planets. We don't know. But we do know that the last of them, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was sent as a rahma lil alameen. He was sent as a mercy to all of the worlds. And all the worlds includes the universe. So Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to every living organism, wherever they may be in the universe. But as for all the other prophets, Allah sent them each to a particular nation or a tribe or a civilization or a community. And they wouldn't travel outside that community unless Allah allowed them. And their mission was to teach the people within their society. That was it. But when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, his message, وَبُعِثْتُ إِلَى النَّاسِ كَافَّةً, I was sent to all human beings in their entirety, wherever they may be. It was sent to all of them wherever they are, because it's the last prophet. Since he's the last prophet, his message needs to be there for all people of all times, wherever they might be. We also see, mashallah, Akram, you're in Antarctica, tabarakallah. How's the weather over there? We've got a few people more in Auckland and from New Zealand, alhamdulillah. And good to see. We want to get some more, inshallah, variety of cities and global locations. So, why is it, first of all, that Allah sends prophets and messengers? That's the question. Let's see if we can get some answers. What do you say? What do you say, Zainab? Why does Allah send prophets and messengers? Let's see if you can come up with some answers. So they can learn about Allah, indeed. The prophets and the messengers are the best of creation. So Allah's created jinn, which is a spiritual being that we can't see, but they can see us. Some of them are believers, some of them don't believe in Allah. Allah has created angels, and angels only do what Allah has commanded them. They are made out of nur, out of pure light. And the number of angels, Allahu Alam, they're in the billions, they're in the trillions. No one knows the number of his angels except Allah. And Allah creates different angels for different functions. Thank you to spread Islam, because we need to believe in Allah, because they're the ones that are going to actually teach us about our deen and our religion. Welcome to Zaid. Good to see you, mashallah, and your family. It's been a while. Good to see you, alhamdulillah, to guide us, hidayah. I'll give you an example. If you are on a journey right now, of course, considering it's an essential journey, because you can't have unessential journeys right now, otherwise you're going to get a big fine, particularly if you're in New South Wales. But let's say you're on a journey from Sydney to Melbourne and you don't know the way. So you get in the car and you start driving, and you need a guide, don't you? So in the olden days, you might stop at a petrol station and ask, can you tell me the directions to Melbourne? And they'll tell you, keep going right for the next, 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, 400 kilometers, then turn right, then turn left, and keep going straight. And then they might tell you that there's some sort of sign on the road. Keep going there, and then you turn left there, and you'll arrive. For example, you need a guide. For us nowadays, to get around to new places, we usually use a navigator, sometimes on our phone or sometimes on the dashboard in the car, which is actually going to show us the direction of travel. And we put in our address and it shows us where to go. So, same thing as for us as human beings in our lives, we actually need direction in our journey. We can't just make it up ourselves because we haven't taken the path before. You see, Allah created us. He created us as human beings in order to undertake some travel, some journey. So He sends us these prophets and messengers who already know Allah. So they can actually show us the way. They can put the spotlight for us to actually arrive at the knowledge and belief in Allah and to follow the proper rules and laws that are going to earn us the pleasure of Allah. So it's actually Allah is going to be pleased with us. And Allah created us for a reason. If you got some new toy or a game, then before you play it, before you operate it, wouldn't it make sense to know how it works? So any device or any watch or any little watch that you might get, you need to know how it works. Who you're going to ask to understand how that thing operates. Let's say you get a new Fitbit or a new Apple Watch or a new, I don't know, remote control, radio controlled drone. Who are you going to ask? If you get a new radio controlled drone, remote controlled drone, do you think it would be wise to go down to your local fruit shop and ask Uncle Ali, excuse me, Uncle Ali, I'm buying onions and basal and batata and banadura and tomatoes and stuff and lemons. While I'm doing that, Uncle Ali at the fruit shop, can you just tell me what's the best way to connect my drone to my iPad? Do you think he's the right one to ask? Why not? Why do you think it's probably not a good idea to ask the gentleman that operates your local fruit shop? Well, because his specialty is buying and selling fruits and vegetables. So if you want to ask him something about the difference between the quality of Batlow apples, red apples, delicious apples, Fuji apples, Granny Smith apples, he'll tell you this one's a bit sour, this one's sweet, this one's got no taste at all. You better go for this one. That's a better choice. Make sense? Yeah. I'll ask him because that's his profession. It's his job. It's what he does every day. So if we want to work out how to connect our remote control drone to our iPad, we need to ask the people that made both of those devices. So we usually get an instruction manual and we'll look up that instruction manual that is sent with those devices in order to work out how best to operate it. We human beings are devices. We are creatures. We are made by Allah. So in order to work out how we should operate, do you think we should just play the guessing game and work out by ourselves that our job and our role in life is one, two, three? We just do a guessing game? Do you think that'd be good? No. What do you think would be the best option? Who should we go to work out how we should be running our life? Someone's saying our parents. That's a good option. But your parents are creatures just like you. Don't they need to ask to work out how they're going to live their lives and how you should live your lives? So who are your parents going to ask? Where do we go back to for that proper instruction manual? Who do we go to? What do you think? Well, wouldn't it make sense to go back to the one that created us, the one that made us? The one that made us knows best what is good for us. So can you just go knock on the door and say, excuse me, Allah, what do you want me to do today? Doesn't happen because we can't see Allah with our eyes right now. You see, you get your phone and put on speed dial and say, Assalamu alaikum, yeah, Allah, yeah, can we work out what you need us? It doesn't work like that. We're human beings. We can't access like that. So what happens is Allah sends people just like us. They look like us, they walk like us, they speak like us, they even speak our language. And in fact, Allah sends human beings that speak the language of the people in the community that He sent them to teach them what Allah actually wants from them. And that is the purpose of the prophets and messengers, to deliver a message from Allah. Imagine, a messenger is called a messenger because he delivers a message. Makes sense. A postman is called a postman because he delivers the post, right? And this is what it's all about. That's why we are looking to the stories of the prophets. And I'll tell you why as well. If you haven't already heard of it, the world is experiencing something starting with P. It's called a pandemic of something starting with C. No, it's not cheesels. No, it's not chips, but it's a pandemic of a coronavirus. And a lot of people are actually confused. They are so confused, maybe with lots and lots of information, negative information. The virus is spreading so quickly. And there are people that are getting so sick, especially the elderly. And some places it's going out of control. So what happens is we as human beings, we start to we panic a bit, don't we? Because we get overwhelmed with all of those messages. So that's why it is so important to go back to the people that Allah sent as His representatives on earth to pass on His message. They are the prophets and the messengers. Because what we are going through right now, this year, which is 2020, right, of this pandemic of the coronavirus, is nothing compared to the difficulties and struggles and hardships which the prophets and messengers were put through. I'll give you an example. The Prophet Ibrahim, alayhi salam, which we're going to talk about later on, not yet, but I'm just giving you an introduction. Prophet Ibrahim, he was calling people to Allah, but the king in his town, in his country, wasn't happy with that. He wanted people to worship him as a god, astaghfirullah. But of course, he doesn't have any power whatsoever. And when Ibrahim alayhi salam says to him, my Lord brings the sun from the east to rise and he allows it to set in the west, able to respond to Prophet Ibrahim because he knew deep down that he was just a human being, limited. He couldn't have that power to change the course of the sun. And so as a result, because the king got very angry with the Prophet Ibrahim, he ordered his people for 40 days to gather firewood from the village and to make it into a huge fire. And then he got someone to build a catapult to put Prophet Ibrahim on and to launch him into the fire. Why? Because he was teaching people to believe in Allah and to tell people, don't go and worship a king because he's someone that Allah has created, just like you and me. So he was put through that difficulty, right? That hardship. His life was at risk and at stake. But Allah saved him. We'll talk more about what happened after Ibrahim was thrown into the fire in later lessons, because I don't want to jump too quickly into our series. But the struggles, for instance, Prophet Nuh, for 950 years, he'd call people to Allah. But only about 70 or 90, we're told, ended up believing in him after 950 years. But he didn't give up. He kept on going every single day, teaching people about Allah. And Prophet Isa faced the same problems. Prophet Musa faced the same problems. Prophet Yunus, he was teaching his people. No one believed him in his village. Jonah, Prophet Yunus. And so he left the village. But he left the village before he sought permission from Allah. Allah didn't want him to leave the village yet. And so Allah ordered a fish, large fish in the sea, to actually swallow him because he was on a ship and then he ended up being thrown overboard. We'll go through his story. Imagine being thrown overboard in a ship in a stormy sea. That's pretty scary. But these are the difficult times that prophets and messengers would go through. They were challenges. But you know what happened? The more they went through these hardships and these difficulties, these prophets, do you think they became weaker or stronger? Which one? They became stronger. Because the more hardships you go through in life, the stronger you become, the more able you are to go through the difficult times that you have. If you want to build a house, I'll give you an example. You can either use wet mud, right? What happens if you use wet mud bricks? The bricks are just wet mud. You make them into nice cubes or rectangular blocks, and you put them one on top of each other. You build your house with wet mud. You think it's going to last very long? No. Bit of rain comes, there goes your house, like chocolate, melted chocolate gone. But if you got that mud or that clay that was wet in those blocks, and you put them under intense heat, lots and lots of heat in an oven, a furnace or a kiln, bake them, and then you take them out, what happens after they've cooled down? They're soft or hard? They're hard. Once you bake it, it becomes hard. Once it is hard, you can now use it as a solid structure for the walls in your house. And you'll be so happy because it is now useful. But if that brick didn't go through the hardship of lots and lots of heat, which is hard for it, then it wouldn't be useful. So we human beings are a bit the same. When we go through the difficult times in our lives, it makes us stronger people. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, he says, those human beings that were tried and tested the most, meaning those that went through the most hardship and difficulty in life, are the prophets and messengers. And then those pious people that followed them, they went through even not more, but less of a level of hardships and difficulties. And then those that come after them in their closeness to Allah. So when you see hardships in your life, don't say, no, I'm not ready for it. Welcome it with open arms. And ask yourself, how does Allah want me to respond to these difficult times in a way that is pleasing to Him? How do you know how? Well, you ask the people that Allah sent as His guides, and they are the prophets and the messengers. And that is why it is so important for us to look at the lives of the prophets and messengers. Now, we're going to trek back in time, boys and girls, mums and dads, and we are going to try and relive the times with the prophets and the messengers. And I hope you can join me, inshallah, in this series where we do that. We travel back in time and we go back to the time of the first of the prophets that Allah sent to this earth. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in fact, was asked by one of his companions by the name of Sayyiduna Jabir ibn Abdullah radiyallahu ta'ala an, means may Allah be pleased with him. So this companion asks, his name was Jabir. He asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah, can you tell me what was the first thing that Allah created? Now that's going back in time. Seriously. It means there was no sky. There was no earth. There was no jinn. There was no angels. There was no earth. There was no Pluto, Venus, Mars, Neptune, no sun, no moon. Nothing. Nothing. Zero. Zero. Zilch. But what was there? There was only Allah, because Allah always was, always is, and always will be. And the way He is now and will be was the way He was before, because to Allah He created time. So the companion asked the Prophet ﷺ, what was the first thing that Allah created? And Sayyidina Jabir bin Abdullah, here's the answer directly from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And he says to him, Nura Nabiyukum Muhammad, the light of your Prophet. The light of your Prophet Muhammad. And from that, the rest of creation was made. So, even before Adam alayhi salam was fashioned and molded in clay, there was already the existence of that original light of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From it was created the various aspects of the essential parts of this universe. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's light was actually carried in Sayyidina Adam, who was passed down to Sayyidina Sheeth, who was the son of Adam, who inherited the message and the prophethood after the Prophet Adam, and it was passed down through his children and grandchildren until it came down to the Prophet Nuh, until it arrived to the various other prophets in that descendants and in that line, through to Prophet Ibrahim and Prophet Ismail, all the way through the grandfathers and ancestors of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam until it manifests through his through his grandfather Abdul Muttalib and his father Abdullah, and then which was clear on his forehead. The father of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a light on his forehead that was distinguishable and identifiable. And then when he got married to the mother of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Amina, that nur, that light passed from the forehead of Abdullah, it passed to Amina in her womb, where for 9 months the embryo, the fetus of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be molded and formed, ready for his birth and coming to this world in the month of Rabi' al-Awwal. And in fact, Amina became pregnant with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam radiallahu ta'ala anha in the month of Rajab. So Rajab is an important month because it is the month in which the pregnancy of Sayyidatuna Amina radiallahu ta'ala anha commenced. But let us now go back to the story of Prophet Adam, inshallah, because I don't want to end today except that we commence the first part of our series. Prophet Adam alayhi salam. Yes, he was the first prophet that Allah sent to planet Earth. However, before Earth, he used to live in the gardens of paradise, in Jannah. Whether it was the same Jannah that people will enter into, perhaps it was another garden in the heavens that Allah had created specifically for Adam alayhi salam. Allah knows best, but we do know that it was a garden, it was a Jannah that Adam alayhi salam was in. But before that, before human beings were created, there was a planet Earth, and there were beings on this earth. Does anyone know who was living on planet Earth before us, before human beings? Take a guess. Maybe you know. Where was it? Who was living on planet Earth before human beings? What do you say? Any responses? Let me hear it. Let me see it. The jinn kind. The people of not the people, the creatures of the ghaib, the unseen. At least we can't see them, the jinn. And that in fact is one of the wisdoms by them, or for them being called jinn, because the word itself, jinn, is related to the word Jannah. And some say that the Jannah is called Jannah because it is so fully covered with lush vegetation and greenery that it cannot be seen from the outside, right? And jinn themselves can't be seen by human beings in this world, so they are hidden from us. So the jinn used to occupy this earth, and there were good jinn and there were bad jinn. There were those that obeyed Allah's command, and there were those that disobeyed Allah's command. And of all the jinn, amongst the jinn also in the heavens, there was angels. And these angels used to roam the earth. But amongst the jinn, there was one jinn who was really, really spectacular. A really amazing, obedient worshipper of Allah. The angels noted this jinn, and they ended up taking this jinn from earth with them to that garden, right, which was in the heavens, because they saw this jinn as being special. He was someone that used to worship Allah and pray to Allah and believe in Allah so deeply. So he was like promoted by the angels. So they took him with him. This is how our tradition tells us. If we look at the various sources of our Islamic history, such as the lives of the Prophet, of the scholar Ibn Kathir, and other various sources where it's taken from, such as Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, the beginning and the end, an encyclopedic, comprehensive collection of history, right from the beginning of created time until the end of time, after the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and the last day, and the resurrection, and the gathering, and paradise and hellfire. So it gives us a whole overview of all of that timeline. We learn that this jinn was taken by the angels to the garden. He was promoted, and he was actually very, very exceptional, very spectacular, very, very faithful. well respected and had a lot of honor. And that got to him. He liked that importance. And the name of that jinn was Iblis. What was the name of the jinn? It was Iblis. Now, some of you might be familiar with that name. Yeah. And in fact, you probably know Iblis right now as being what? Shaitan, don't you? Well, that helps you to understand that Shaitan is from among the jinn kind. But how was it that Iblis was very good at that time? Yeah, possible. Because the jinn can be good, the jinn can be bad. They can believe and they can choose to disbelieve. So that Iblis, whilst he was there in the garden, in the heavens, the angels are taking him there, of course, with the permission of Allah, him having all of that honor and that respect. Allah, out of his wisdom, no, his children are shayateen. True, his children are shayateen, and there are different types of shayateen. But he's also considered one of the shayateen, the jinn kind, right? And as we said, there are mu'mineen and there are kuffar of the jinn, and there are differing levels of the disbelief of the jinn. There are afarit, right, which are really severe, disobedient, evil type of spiritual beings that Allah has also created. Um, so, if we get back to the point, and that is that out of Allah, through Allah's divine wisdom and His hikmah, uh, His plan was that after the jinn are alive on earth and living on earth, that He creates another species. And that species, do you know who that would be? It's you and I. So we're coming sort of second in a history of species on planet Earth. So Allah in the heavens actually asks the angels, or He, I would say, initiates conversation rather than asking. He initiates a conversation with the angels, and He says to them, I am going to create my representative on earth, on the land, referring to this land here that we're on. He says, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. He says to his angels, I am going to create a khalifa on earth of mine. Khalifa in Arabic can mean successor, meaning someone who comes after someone else. It can mean representative, right? So it's got several meanings. So here it is a representative of the law of Allah on earth. So the angels, they hear this. Now we do know that the angels did not never disobey Allah, they only obey Allah. And so the angel said, أَتَجْعَلُ فِيهَا مَنْ يُفْسِدُ فِيهَا وَيُسْفِكُ الدِّمَاء. The angels, they said, as they were listening to this conversation from Allah, they said, Oh Allah, are you going to place on earth a creature and species that is going to make it corrupt and is going to spill blood on earth, make wars, like kill each other? And here we are, نُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِكَ وَنُقَدِّسُ لَكَ. And the angel said, here we are, the angels. We are glorifying you, praising you, testifying that you are pure and holy, O Allah. And here you are going to create. Why would the angels come up with that response to Allah? Let's see if anyone is clever enough to see if they understand. Why would the angels come up with the response? Why didn't they just say, okay, Allah, yep, next? But rather they said, are you going to create, oh Allah, a species on earth that is going to spill bloodshed and and convey and spread corruption on earth? And here we are praising you and glorifying you. Why would the angels say that? Why would they question Allah? It's not that they were standing in Allah's way, because no one can stand in Allah's way, because He's muqtadir, He's the all powerful. But the angels were engaging in a conversation with Allah. And that's a beautiful moment for us to also to learn that it doesn't matter how much power we as human beings have in our homes, in our businesses, in our schools, in our society is, doesn't matter how much power we have and how much in charge we are of other people, we should always include others in the decisions that we are going to make. If Allah included the angels in that conversation, even though He could have easily just gone out and created human beings, He included them in the conversation before He creates the first human being in order to involve them in that process and to honor them. And so, when you, as a leader, as a mum, as a dad, as an older brother or an older sister, you involve your younger siblings, your younger brother and sister, in what is that you want to do or you're going to do, then it's just do this and you're going to do that and we're going to do this and you got no questions about it. You can't argue. I'm in charge. I'm the one in the leadership. And that's the way it is. You don't like it? Tough. Which process, which way do you think is going to be the one that you're going to get more people working with you, more people helping you out? Is it the first one you involve them in the conversation, you share them what it is that you're about to do? Or is it where you start to, so you're going to do this and you're going to do that? And too tough. Tough if you don't like it, put up with it. Of course, when you have that comfortable, engaging conversation with whoever it is that you are going to talk with to explain what it is that you're going to be doing. And in fact, that's going to be your homework for this week. You're thinking, oh, this is just a YouTube stream or live stream, and there's not going to be any homework, and I'm just going to kick up my feet and just have watch and with popcorn and have fun. Yeah, you can do that. But you're also going to put in homework because what use is the stories of the prophets if we don't take lessons for our lives? So your homework for this week, inshallah, is going to be, I want you at least 3 times during the next week, and I want you to report back to me 3 times in the next week. What were the opportunities or the events that you had in your life with your brothers, sisters, with your children? It can be for mums and dads or with someone else, that you actually engaged them, enter into conversation with them before you actually went out and did what it was that you were going to do. Right? That is your homework. And I want you to know what those 3 are. Write them down. If you want, send them into back to the email. You've all got our email here for Cool College and our programs. Just send it back to our email. At least we can have a look at those, inshallah, in the next few days, because this is so important for us to engage with the people that we want involved in the actions that we're going to be doing. So when the angels come up with that response to Allah, Allah says to them, He says to them, Inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun. He says, I know something that you, O angels, don't have knowledge of. Meaning, O angels, I created you. Your knowledge is not infinite. It's not unlimited. My knowledge is unlimited and infinite, has no end, right? So Allah tells the angels, I know something that you don't know. And that's a secret there, because Allah mentions to us this story in Surah Al-Baqarah, I know something that you don't know. And what many of our scholars say when they comment on this verse in the Quran is that secret knowledge that the angels didn't understand at that point in time in the heavens was that this human being, if he or she chooses to believe in Allah and follow the path of righteousness and perform their acts of worship and do what's pleasing to Allah, they can actually elevate, ascend to a position that is even closer to many of the angels. They can get so close to Allah through their acts of worship and their good deeds that many angels, they can actually even surpass and go past in their closeness to Allah. And there's difference of opinion among some of our scholars whether that is possible or not, but that's a matter of aqeedah, which is the science of theology, which is beyond us today, inshallah. But if I want to backtrack, someone's asking, Aiden's asking, please repeat what the homework was. It is in the next week. I want you to write for me 3 times during this week, at least, that you actually started a conversation with people that you were in charge of or responsible for before it's going to be. No. We want 3 examples, real life examples that you're going to have the next week that you actually work together before telling someone what to do. And I want you to report back to me as well whether the outcome was easier, better, more positive, right? So that's what it is. But if I go back to the angels, when they said you're going to create a species on earth that is going to cause mischief and spill blood, why would you think that they said that? No one responded to me yet, but I want to touch on the reason for that. You see, because the angels had knowledge and observation of what was happening on earth at that time and previously, they observed the jinn. And the jinn, there were good of them and there were bad of them. But they saw the jinn would actually have wars with each other. The jinn would fight one another. The jinn, there were some of them that actually spread evil and corruption on earth. And so because they saw that, they didn't want Allah to create another creation just like them. Because the special thing about the jinn was that they were created with something called free will. Not Free Willy, isn't it? Isn't it Free Will? That's some dolphin movie. Not Free Willy, I think it's called. Free will. And that is, you are not forced to make any decision in your life. You have free choice. Allah doesn't force you. But for the angels, they have no choice. They can only obey Allah. For you human beings, me and you, do we have free will or are we forced? We have no choice. Which one do you think? Are we forced or we have choice? Yes, we can choose. For instance, you want it for breakfast. You can choose to have either Wheat Bix or Cocoa Pops. You have that choice, or cornflakes. Or are you forced? Only Wheat Bix. Maybe some of your homes you're forced because I guess so in that situation. But generally, are we forced or do we have choice? Um, Marwan Taibi, mashallah. Good to see you. Alhamdulillah. Good to have you on board and always good to have you in our lessons, inshallah. We want this to also be your means for us to connect, inshallah. Maybe not for this few weeks, but maybe even longer, inshallah. So we've got free will, don't we? We've got choice. And human beings, given that we have choice, the jinn also have a choice. And that's one similarity, one common thing between human beings and jinn kind. What's common between them? Choice, isn't it? Free will. And in Arabic, we call that taklif. Taklif. If you write it down, I want someone to write it down. First one to write it down in the chat. Taklif. Taklif or Takleef. Or if you can write it in Arabic, taklif. Ta. Who can write in Arabic first? Change your keyboard to Arabic. Quick. Yalla. Taklif. Ta. Yalla, sound it out. Yalla, huh? Arabic lesson. Yalla. Yalla. Taklif. How do we write it? Yalla, first letter ta, fatha ta. Yalla, next kaf sukun k, tak, lam kasra takli, ya sukun taklif. Taklif. Who got it? Beautiful. Shayma, mashallah. You got taklif in Arabic, and first one that got taklif in English was also Shayma. La ilaha illallah. And everyone else, and Maryam and Amina and Munir and everyone else, mashallah, Ustadha and Zainab, and all of you, mashallah, taklif. And this taklif, yes, in a sense, it's a choice, it's a free will, but it's a bit more than that. It refers to responsibility. It refers to a wait. Wait. Not waiting like when you go to the doctor and you have to wait in the waiting room. No, not that wait. It refers to a weight like something heavy. I'll give you an example. In Arabic, we refer to something heavy and weighty as a kulfa. If you give someone a responsibility, let's say your mum or dad gives you a responsibility to mow the lawn, or to weed the garden, or to feed the ducks or the chickens, then in Arabic we say that is what is it? A kulfa, a burden in the good sense, because sometimes we read burden Oh, it's a burden on me. Usually, human beings, they look at the word burden, they think, oh, it's not good for me. It's a burden. It's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy, but it's a good heavy. It's a good thing to carry. It's a good burden because it is a beneficial responsibility. So when we refer to tasks that are placed upon you to do in your home, that's called a kulfa. Your mum or your dad or whoever it is, they are yukallifuka or yukallifuki. They are putting kulfa on you, something that you got to do. It's weighty, it's heavy. Same thing when it comes to human beings being created by Allah. There is a and that kulfa upon us is part of this taklif or this takalluf. This is Allah placing responsibility upon human beings to make the right choice. It's like a responsibility, an amana, it's a trust. Allah Ta'ala tells us in the Quran, interpreted here as this taklif. We have offered this responsibility, this amana, upon the jibal, upon the mountains, upon the heavens, upon the earth itself. But they refused to accept to hold this responsibility, to hold it. حَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ. Allah says, and al-insan, human being, chose to accept this kulfa, this burden, this weighty responsibility, this amana. And this amana is, what is it? It is the requirement, the expectation from Allah of you and me as human beings and all human beings to do what? To learn how it is that we are going to travel a path and a journey to arrive at seeking the pleasure of Allah, to make Allah happy with us. That is our purpose in life. One purpose. Everything else comes after that. Our number one purpose in life is not to drink chocolate milkshakes. Our number one purpose in life is not to play GT car racing on the computer. Our number one purpose in life is not to sit there writing and scrolling through memes on Instagram and Snapchats and all these other things. Our number one purpose in life is to earn Allah's pleasure. How do we do that? By exercising our process of taklif, learning how we're going to arrive there. So human beings held this, and this is the free will, and this is the choice. And exactly, it is like a test, like Maryam is telling us. It is like a test. So this is the process of how we as human beings have actually accepted this amana, this responsibility, and how we're going to go and follow through in fulfilling this amana. And Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, the first of the human beings, accepted this amana, this responsibility also. So there we understand when the angels responded to Allah, you're going to create something that's going to spill blood and it's going to create mischief on earth. Allah says, I know that something that you don't know, meaning Allah is giving free will and choice to human beings like He gave it to jinn, and those that use it for the right reasons and make the right choices by following in the footsteps of the prophets and the messengers, they are the ones that Allah is going to elevate. They are the ones that Allah is going to take higher and closer to Him. And as we pass through that story, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Adam alayhi salam, of course before he is a prophet, and that was in that garden in which Iblis used to live, the angels used to live. He was worshipping Allah, Iblis, and Allah begins to create out of clay, tin, from the earth. He creates a hollow substance, a hollow structure, a hollow body, which is that body of Adam. He creates him, and Adam, when he was initially created, he was actually large, tall. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually tells us the height of Sayyidina Adam is about 60 dhira' tall, 60 cubits tall, which is about 60 arms length tall. What's that work out to be? Works out to be about 20 meters. If we do our calculations, Adam alayhi salam, when he was created, he was about 20 meters tall. Pretty large, isn't he? The tallest basketball players nowadays, what, maybe 2.3 meters, maybe 2.4 meters. Adam was 20 meters, 10 times the highest or the tallest the basketball players that we have today. So he was a great body, a great, subhanAllah, tall being. And Allah created him just in that molded shell. He was like a shell. And the angels started to talk about who this creature was. They started to observe Adam. And Adam, although he was just a body, just hollow clay, if you were to knock on that clay, it'd make something like a echo sound. Like if you just got a clay pot that's empty inside, you knock on it, doing, doing, it's like an echo sound. And so that's the emptiness, if you like, of the body of Adam at that point in time. It was just a hollow clay, tin substance in that stage of his life. And as the angels started to talk more and more about this creature of human beings, of Adam, someone started to get jealous in that garden, in that Jannah. Who do you think that was? Iblis started to get jealous because up until that time, all the angels were honoring and seeing as special was Iblis. But now there's just this empty, hollow thing, and they're all talking about him. So Iblis starts to get jealous. He's starting to think, what's all this fuss about in this garden? Here's nothing. So he gets jealous, and he ends up entering his body from the bottom, going through his entire inside body, coming out of his head, maybe through the nostrils or the mouth. And after he comes out, he says, what's all the fuss about? He's only empty, he's hollow. There's nothing inside. What's so special about him? So he was actually increasing in his jealousy, in his envy. He was raging up inside because he was scared to lose that popularity that he had for so long. And it continued for Iblis to have more and more jealousy until Adam alayhi salam, his time came where Allah ordered for the ruh, his spirit that Allah had created also, which was what gives a human being life. Because remember, we're made of two things. We're made of a body and a soul, a jasad and a ruh. Who can write those for me in Arabic? Jasad wa ruh. What the human being made of? Two things. Jasad, which is the body, wa ruh, and the soul or the spirit. So Adam was a body for a very long time. But then Allah commanded the ruh to be cast into his body, into his jasad. And once the ruh was cast into the jasad, that's what gave him life. So boys and girls, our real life, what gives us life is our ruh, not our bodies. Our body is just the vehicle. Like a car where the driver jumps in to drive around with the fuel inside it. Without the fuel, you're not going to be able to get the car moving. So we human beings, without the ruh, without the spirit, excellent for those people that have written jasad wa ruh, without the spirit, without the ruh, we're actually nothing. We are just an empty shell. So Adam, when that spirit came in and life came into him, this is when he became alive. And inshallah, boys and girls, now we've hit the hour mark, and that means time is up. So we will talk and continue what happened when Adam alayhi salam became alive. What happened in the next part of his life in the Garden of Paradise? What did Allah speak to him about? What did Allah train him with? What did Allah teach him? Because even Adam was a student. Allah taught Adam some things. What was it that Allah taught him? And then after Allah taught him these things, how did Allah celebrate the knowledge that Adam now had? So if you're, inshallah, looking forward to next Thursday for the same continuation, inshallah, I want you to write right now or give us the thumbs up. Yes, you're looking forward. Give us a thumbs up that you want to, inshallah, tune in for next week's lesson where we continue the story of Adam. What happened after he woke up or after he was given life, and that process of education and training in Allah, giving him knowledge in that garden, inshallah. I also want to know. Oh, someone's jumping in. Isa's telling us he was taught the names of things in Jannah. Yes. What were those names? How did that process happen? And then, inshallah, we want to look at what did Allah do to celebrate that act of imparting of knowledge, and what does that mean for us as human beings? Inshallah, that is inshallah for next week's lesson. I want to also get your feedback. If you want to do it right now in the chat, what did you like most about today's lesson? What would you like us to continue, inshallah, in terms of the style? Did you feel that the style was suitable for you? Obviously, it's going to be hard because we've got people of different ages here. We've got 5-year-olds, we've got 7-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 20, 40, 50-year-olds. It's not going to be easy to make everyone happy, but the intention was to make our youth happy. If our youth are happy, if children are happy, if our boys and girls are happy, if our teenagers are happy, guess what? Our mums and our dads are so happy as well. So maybe that's the secret. If we can make you happy, inshallah, as children, mum and dad will also be children, inshallah. So just reading the comments now, just on the screen as we can see it. So a few thumbs up, some brown ones, some pink ones, some yellow ones, depending on your skin color. I haven't seen any purple thumbs up. Inshallah, someone's asking, homeschooling people, mashallah, is House Homeschool. Can you please post this after the live feed on your YouTube page? It's going to go, once we end the stream, inshallah, it is public, it is going, I won't say viral, inshallah. We don't want to go viral. We want it to go good khairul. We want to go khairul, not viral, because virus is not a good, nice word. We want to go khairul. So I want you to send this khairul, inshallah, to spread the knowledge, to spread the benefit, inshallah. Share it with your friends through the YouTube link. Alhamdulillah. I'm glad you love the interactivity. I don't know how much we could try even more with different things as a bit of an experimental thing, interactivity online, because we don't have each other in the same room. So at least this way we can do that through the chat. It makes it nice and smooth, inshallah. Looking forward to the next session in the next week, inshallah. You can send this to your friends and your family, and just get them to register so they can get all the other updates. And there will also be for mums only, and girls only, teenage girls only. I think Ustad Jinan, my wife, is only looking for 14 years and over. So she is going to be starting on Monday, and it's an open class, inshallah. So it's a free class at 8. What time was it? I think it was 8:30. She'll be starting at 8 or 8:30. If you have a look at coolcollege.com/events, if someone can just put that link there in the chat, coolcollege.com/events. And my wife, Sada Jinan, will be running a women's only class, inshallah. She probably won't be doing on YouTube. She'll be doing on the on an online video platform, which you'll receive the link for. But only women, teenage girls to register for that, inshallah. And she'll be going through prophetic jewels, and that is selected hadith, sayings of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that you as a woman, that you as a young lady can, inshallah, be uplifted, increase your spiritual level and Islamic faith in the days and nights leading up to Ramadan, inshallah. So make sure if your mum or your sister or your cousin or any other women in your family or friends, that they can go and register, inshallah, coolcollege.com/events. Register for prophetic jewels. That's there for all the girls and the women, inshallah. It's a free class for you to join, inshallah. That's starting on Monday. So that'll be every Monday evening, Sydney time in Australia, and every Thursday, 2 p.m. In the afternoon, Sydney time again, on this YouTube channel, inshallah. We'll be doing stories of the prophets. So they are fully open, inshallah, for everyone. And would also encourage you to have a look at some of the other classes. Women's Learn to Read Quran, Ustada Wasim, inshallah. Wonderful teacher, really engaging. Again, she'll be doing it through video for small groups of women. Learn how to recite the Quran beautifully with beautiful tajweed, inshallah. We can't do it physically in person, but she'll be able to. That's for women only, and that'll be happening, I think, on a Tuesday morning, Sydney time. So more information there. Then I'll also be running a course, inshallah, and that will be for the next 7 weeks, starting next, I'm trying to remember now, Thursday. think next Thursday we'll be starting at Thursday evening, Sydney time, and that's on Sifatu Salat al-Muqarrabin. This is the description of the prayers of the righteous people. How many times we say Allahu Akbar, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we don't even know what we're saying from the beginning of our salah. But this, inshallah, we are going to be looking step by step based on a classical text called the description of the prayers of the righteous and those who are brought near to Allah. Bit by bit, looking at the motions of our salah, looking at the words that we're actually saying, looking at the stories of the people that used to pray to Allah in the past and how they connect to Allah in their salah. That for us, many of us, unfortunately, it's like we can't wait for salah to finish and we go do the next thing and play. But for other people, they can't wait for their play to finish so they can go to their pray. Makes sense? Opposite. For us, is we can't wait for pray to finish so we go play. But for other people, it's they can't wait for play to finish so they can go to the pray to pray. So that's a course, inshallah, you need to register for that one. And that's for teenagers, for adults, inshallah, boys and girls, mums and dads. It's a bit more of a advanced class, inshallah. So I hope those of you that are interested, they can benefit from that one, inshallah, as well. And then we've also got, what else do we have? On the Friday mornings, we'll be doing Learn to Pray workshops and learn how to do wudu, learn how to do proper prayer, but not do the same old basic stuff, but real good detailed things based on our classical madhab and schools of law, the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa, the madhab of Imam al-Shafi'i, inshallah. We'll try as much as we can to incorporate and make sure it is relevant to adherence of both of those madhab, so we can perfect our prayer properly. By the time you get to Ramadan as a young boy, as a young girl, inshallah, you will see us on the video in the live classroom there. You will have perfected your salah and your wudu. So you know that at least during Ramadan, you can work on your salah in a way that you have never done before. So that'll be Friday, starting Friday, inshallah, next week. You'll need to register for that one. So I encourage you to do that. And then we'll be starting off our Cool College term, inshallah, in our next school term. So you can have a look at information there at the events site. But mashallah, Jazakumullah khair. Let me read some more comments. My daughter Asia is 7 years. She was engaged. Maybe some words that are easier for the younger ones to understand and get them to answer questions. They love that. Good feedback, alhamdulillah. I'll try as much as I can to use simple words as possible. Try to, if you like, just simplify it, dumb it down, because even adults can understand simple words, but young people, children, might not understand hard words, difficult words. So the simpler the better, inshallah. That way it is accessible for all, but I hope I didn't make it too simple or too boring. But I hope it was fun, inshallah. I hope it was engaging, and I hope, inshallah, we can see you next week. But don't forget the rest of our classes that are going to be available for you online, in the comfort of your own home, through your device, through your TV, wherever you might be, inshallah. And we hope that we can stay together and stay healthy. And we make the dua, inshallah, all together. Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. وأعنا على الصلاة والصيام والقيام وتلاوة القرآن. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة إلا أتممتها يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا شاكرا وأدخلنا الجنة برحمتك يا حي يا قيوم بسر الفاتحة وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. Boys and girls, good to see you all. Zaid, mashallah, thanks for your comment. I enjoy your joining us, and I hope to have you and everyone else next week, inshallah, wherever you might be in the world. We want to get this as global as possible, inshallah, to maximize the benefit. So make sure you share this link after the stream ends, inshallah. It might take a few minutes for it to be processed in the back end in YouTube. But so just wait for that, and let's make it khairul, inshallah. And I'll just post the link, inshallah, for the Cool College event, so you can actually also see it and register, inshallah, for updates for this one, as well as other classes that we're offering, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just read this one. Jazakumullah khair kathiran wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And inshallah, we'll end off the stream. Assalamu alaikum. We'll see you next week. Stories of the Prophets on the YouTube channel here for myself, Al Faqir Ahmed Abdo. And Sophia, good to have you on board as well, inshallah. And everyone else, we'll see you next week. Ma'asana.